Psalm 23, the most recited psalm in the entire Bible, whispered at funerals, carved on tombstones, sung in churches across the world. But here's the shocking truth: most believers only read it and never actually live it. And in doing so, we have lost the greatest secret King David ever left behind. A grieving family huddled in black, the faint murmur of, "The Lord is my shepherd," rising in a church filled with silence. A prayer meeting late at night, voices trembling with fatigue as those familiar words echo once more. This psalm has become background music for our sorrow. But listen carefully, this was never meant to be a lullaby for death. This is not just for funerals. It's a living code, a survival map, a prophecy of victory and eternal security. The real danger is not that you don't know Psalm 23 by heart. The real danger is that you've never unlocked the secrets buried inside it. Secrets that can change how you see God, how you endure valleys, how you face enemies, and how you walk into eternity. In the next moments, we will journey together through a hidden path from the shepherd to rest, to restoration, to presence, to victory, and finally, to eternal security. Each verse is not a poetic comfort, it is a divine revelation. Welcome to a journey where Scripture becomes revelation, and revelation becomes life. And it all begins with just one word: my. Chapter 1, The Shepherd and the Secret of Ownership. Psalm 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. With just 10 words, David cracked open a secret that has fed the souls of generations. But notice carefully, he does not speak as the crowned king of Israel. He does not boast as the warrior who slayed Goliath. He does not stand in the glory of a throne or the power of an army. Instead, he speaks as something far smaller, far humbler. He speaks as a sheep. And that changes everything. Because in the ancient Near East, kings often portrayed themselves as shepherds of their people. Pharaohs were depicted with crooks. Assyrian kings carved their images with flocks beneath them. Rulers prided themselves on guiding the masses. But David flips the image. He is not the shepherd of Israel here, he is the sheep of Yahweh. The warrior lays down his sword. The monarch lays down his crown. And in that surrender, he reveals a truth far more powerful than any crown could hold. He did not say, "The Lord is a shepherd." He said, "The Lord is my shepherd." Just one word, and eternity shifts. That tiny syllable, "my," transforms a cosmic God into a personal refuge. It is the language of ownership. Not ownership as control, but ownership as belonging. Whoever shepherds you owns your destiny. Whoever guides you determines your destination. This is where religion and relationship part ways. Religion admires the shepherd. Relationship follows him. Religion acknowledges his existence. Relationship surrenders to his leadership. To say the Lord is a shepherd is to confess doctrine, but to say the Lord is my shepherd is to sign a covenant. It is to release the ego, the hunger for control, the illusion of self-rule. It is David the king laying his crown in the grass and taking his rightful place as a dependent sheep. And this, beloved, is where most of us stumble. We memorize the verse but never make the vow. We quote it at ceremonies but never live it in chaos. We acknowledge him as the shepherd, but never surrender to him as our shepherd. And that one subtle difference, the distance between a and my, can determine whether your life is driven by pressure or led by peace. When you are driven, you are pushed by fear, anxiety, deadlines, demands. When you are led, you are guided by his voice, moved by his peace, sustained by his presence. A sheep does not chart its own map, it follows. And in the following, it finds provision. Think of your soul as a GPS. It can calculate routes, it can recite directions, it can even attempt to reroute when you stray. But unless it is connected to the satellite, the shepherd, the source, the sovereign, it will simply lead you in circles. And isn't that the tragedy of modern faith sheep trying to play shepherd? We attempt to guide ourselves through valleys that require divine navigation. We chase advice from every voice but neglect the only voice that truly matters. And then we wonder why anxiety hunts us, why emptiness clings to us, why we feel lost even when surrounded by abundance. David is teaching us something revolutionary, the secret of ownership. To declare, "The Lord is my shepherd," is not sentimental poetry, it is divine alignment. It is saying, I no longer own myself. I no longer trust my instincts above His command. My destiny is not mine to decide. It is His to direct. Notice the second half of the verse, "I shall not want." This is not a shallow promise of unending material wealth. David himself knew hunger, betrayal, exile, and battle. He slept in caves, he fled for his life, he faced seasons of deep lack. Yet even there he declares, "I shall not want." How? Because when the shepherd owns your direction, provision is not optional, it is guaranteed. It may not be what you want, but it will always be what you need. This is a radical confession. It means that if God does not give it, I do not need it. If He withholds it, then His no is a disguised mercy. To live under His ownership is to rest in sufficiency. Not the sufficiency of circumstance, but the sufficiency of His care. You do not reach the promise of "I shall not want" until you bow before "The Lord is my shepherd." Abundance is not the fruit of striving, it is the fruit of surrender. You cannot demand the benefits of the shepherd while refusing his authority. You cannot enjoy his pasture while rejecting his path. The doorway to provision is ownership, his ownership of you. Who is shepherding you? For some it is ambition, for others it is fear, for many it is the shifting winds of culture. But whoever owns your direction owns your destiny. And if your shepherd is not the Lord, then no matter how far you travel, you will end up lost. This is where the psalm begins, not with comfort, not with poetry, but with surrender. David leads us into mystery with a confession that costs him everything, but gives him more than everything in return. And if you lean in close, you will hear it whisper even now. The secret is not to read these words. The secret is to live them. Because the shepherd is not looking for admirers, he is looking for followers. And the moment you say, "The Lord is my shepherd," everything begins to change. And that is only the beginning. For once, the shepherd owns you. He will not only lead you, he will make you rest. And that takes us into the next secret. Chapter 2, The Strategy of Rest. Psalm 23:2. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Pause on that opening line. David does not say, "He invites me to lie down." He does not say, "He recommends rest when I'm tired." No, he says, "He makes me lie down." Here's the first wave of revelation. God doesn't suggest rest. He enforces it. Because the shepherd knows that without sacred stillness, the sheep will collapse under the weight of their own wandering. To us, rest feels optional. Something we squeeze in between deadlines, something we hope for on vacation, something we justify when exhaustion overtakes us. But to God, rest is not a luxury. It is a strategy. And sometimes, His greatest act of mercy is not moving you forward, but making you stop. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not weakness. Rest is not escape. Rest is spiritual warfare. Because when you rest, you declare that the world is not upheld by your striving, but by His sovereignty. When you lie down, you confess that God can run the universe without your anxious hands on the wheel. Rest is trust in action. What feels like stagnation may actually be divine protection. What you call delay might be God's intervention. We live in a culture addicted to motion, baptized in busyness, scrolling, endlessly hustling without pause. We measure worth by productivity, identity by activity. And yet the shepherd says, "Lie down." What if the closed door you curse is the very barrier saving your soul? What if the silence you despise is the voice of God shielding you from noise that would destroy you? What if the delay you hate is the protection you need? A smartphone, brand new, sleek, capable of the most advanced functions. It has GPS camera apps, power beyond imagination. But if the battery dies, it is nothing more than a lifeless piece of glass and metal. Your soul is the same. You may be gifted, talented, called, equipped. You may carry vision and potential. But without recharge, without rest, you will burn out into irrelevance. The pasture is not wasted time. It is survival. And here is the beauty of the shepherd. He chooses the place. Green pastures, not barren deserts, not poisoned soil, but fields of nourishment. He leads you to still waters, waters that do not roar, that do not drown, but waters that restore calm to the chaos inside you. But you will never taste that calm unless you let him lead. Sometimes we resist the pasture because we mistake stillness for failure. We think if we're not moving, we're falling behind. We equate delay with defeat. But in God's economy, rest is not regression. Rest is preparation. He makes you lie down not to punish you, but to preserve you. Think of the prophets. Moses met God not in Pharaoh's palace, but in the stillness of the mountain. Elijah heard God not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the gentle whisper beneath the juniper tree. Even Jesus withdrew to solitary places to pray before facing the cross. Some of the most explosive revelations of Scripture were born not in battle, but in quiet. Are you so addicted to motion that you mistake holy pauses for wasted time? How many prayers feel unanswered simply because you are too restless to hear the whisper? How many doors feel locked simply because God is protecting you from walking through the wrong one? Rest, then, is not inactivity. It is divine activity hidden from your sight. In the pasture, he is feeding you. By the still waters, he is resetting you. In the pause, he is recalibrating your direction so that when you rise again, you will not only move, you will move in alignment with destiny. What if your next breakthrough isn't behind your next hustle, but behind your next holy pause? What if the miracle you're chasing requires you to lie down before you get up and let this settle into your spirit? Rest is trust. When you lie down, you are telling God, I trust you enough to stop. You are declaring, I do not need to fight every battle, knock on every door, chase every opportunity. I trust that if you call me to pause, you are still preparing the promise. This is why the psalmist's image is so radical. A sheep lying down is a vulnerable sheep. To rest is to risk. It means lowering your guard, ceasing your vigilance, trusting the shepherd to defend what you cannot. And that is precisely why he makes you lie down. Because left to ourselves, we would never stop striving. Rest is not optional. It is oxygen. Without it, your faith suffocates your soul, fractures your strength, decays. But with it, you are renewed into the kind of vessel God can actually use. This is the strategy of rest, and it is the shepherd's mercy to enforce it. So the next time he slows your pace, do not curse it, receive it. Because in the pasture of delay, he is building the strength for destiny. Rest is faith at work. And if you dare to surrender to that rest, you will discover the next great secret of Psalm 23. Not only does he feed you, he restores you. And that takes us to the mystery of restoration. Chapter 3, the mystery of restoration. Psalm 23:3. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Let that word echo, restores. Notice what David does not say. He does not say he repairs my soul. He does not say he patches me up, cleans me off, and sends me back into the fight. Repair implies fixing what was broken, but restoration means more. It means taking what was shattered and making it new. It means lifting you not back to where you once were, but forward into what he always intended you to be. It doesn't say he repairs, it says he restores. Restoration is not about erasing your past, but redeeming it. God does not consult your failures to decide your future. He takes your scars, your shame, your regrets, and uses them as the very material to build something greater than before. And this is why restoration is not just desirable, it is essential. Because until your soul is restored, nothing else in your life can truly flourish. You can rebuild careers, you can accumulate wealth, you can even achieve status. Yet if your soul remains fractured, the applause will echo hollow. You can be celebrated publicly and broken privately. You can be productive outwardly and paralyzed inwardly. Success without a restored soul is simply a polished prison, and David knew this. He had touched the throne but also the cave. He had tasted victory but also the bitterness of failure. He had been adored as a hero and despised as a fugitive. Through it all, he discovered this: only the shepherd can restore the soul. God's restoration is never about taking you back. It is about taking you higher. He doesn't rewind you to the innocence before the wound. He refines you through the wound and raises you into a strength you never would have known otherwise. The shepherd does not erase the valley. He transforms it into a testimony. Your scars don't disqualify you. They qualify you for restoration. Look closely at the lives of those God used. Moses carried the guilt of murder, yet God restored him into the deliverer of Israel. Peter denied Christ 3 times, yet Jesus restored him into the rock upon which the church would be built. Paul persecuted believers, yet was restored into the apostle of grace. Their scars were not their end, they became their credentials. And so it is with you. The very places of your deepest shame may become the stage of your greatest calling if you let him restore your soul. David doesn't say God restores his kingdom or his reputation or his wealth. He says he restores my soul. That innermost self, the core where your identity, your emotions, and your faith converge. The part of you that cries in silence while smiling in public. The part that keeps functioning while quietly bleeding. That is the part the shepherd restores. Why? Because until your soul is whole, your steps will always stumble. You can mask the cracks with performance, but you cannot outrun the fractures of the heart. When God restores your soul, he does more than heal your feelings. He realigns your identity with his design. He anchors you in his love so that storms outside cannot shake the peace within. And the verse does not end there. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Restoration is not aimless. God does not restore you just to leave you standing in the same field. Once your soul is renewed, he sets you on a new trajectory. Paths of righteousness. Notice the plural paths, meaning there are seasons, directions, assignments, but all of them are tethered to his purpose. This is crucial. Restoration is not ultimately about you, it is about him. It is for his name's sake. God puts his reputation on the line when he restores you. He declares to the watching world, "This one belongs to me. My glory is revealed in their renewal." And this is why restoration is unstoppable. If it were about your worthiness, it would fail. If it were about your performance, it would crumble. But because it is about his name, it endures. The shepherd restores not because you deserve it, but because his glory demands it. Where is your soul fractured? What wounds are you hiding? What shame still whispers in the dark? Bring them to the shepherd. He is not interested in your performance. He is committed to your restoration. When God restores your soul, your enemies do not see your scars, they see his strength. Your story ceases to be about your fall and becomes about his faithfulness. It doesn't say he repairs, it says he restores. And the proof of that restoration is not just your healing, but the paths of righteousness he sets before you. Paths that bring glory not to your name, but to his. The shepherd restores the soul so that when the valley comes, and it will, you will not walk it broken, but whole. And that takes us to the next great mystery of Psalm 23, the valley of the shadow of death and the secret of his presence. Chapter 4, the valley of shadows. Psalm 23:4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. David never said if I walk. He said, though I walk. That one word carries a thunderclap of truth. Valleys are not optional. They are inevitable. The psalm is not a fairy tale where the faithful escape hardship. It is a revelation that no matter how close you walk with the shepherd, valleys will come. To live long enough is to walk through grief, through betrayal, through uncertainty, through fear. The question is not if, the question is how. The valley is real, but it is not final. Notice the language. It is not called the valley of death. It is the valley of the shadow of death. That single word, shadow, changes everything. Because shadows can terrify, but they cannot kill. A shadow may look like the thing, but it is not the thing. A shadow of a knife cannot cut you. A shadow of a lion cannot devour you. A shadow of death cannot claim you. And a shadow can only exist if light is near. Even in the darkest valley, the presence of the shadow proves that the light of God is still shining. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but its very existence testifies that the shepherd has not abandoned you. The valley is a passageway, not a permanent address. David does not say, "Though I live in the valley." He says, "Though I walk through the valley." You don't die in the valley, you pass through it. Yet how many of us pitch tents in places we were only meant to travel through? How many make a home in despair, in bitterness, in fear, forgetting that valleys are not destinations but doorways? The enemy's greatest trick is not the valley itself, it is convincing you to settle there, to believe that the darkness is forever, that the shadow is the whole story. But the shepherd whispers otherwise. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep moving forward. You are passing through. And then comes the heart of the verse, the secret of survival in the shadows. For thou art with me. Those 4 words are the hinge of the psalm, the center of the story, the secret of strength. Not for I am strong, not for I have figured it out, not for I have no fear, but for thou art with me. God does not promise to spare you from the valley. He promises to walk with you through it. His presence does not erase the darkness, but it renders it powerless. His presence does not stop the fire, but it brings a 4th man into the flames. His presence does not silence the lions, but it shuts their mouths. When the shepherd is with you, you can endure what would crush others, not because of your resilience, but because of his companionship. Armies may desert you, friends may betray you, family may fail you, but the shepherd will not. He does not send you into the valley alone. He does not wait for you on the other side. He steps into the shadows with you. He sets his pace with your trembling steps. He turns the darkest corridor into a sanctuary of presence. This is why David can say, "I will fear no evil." Fear thrives in isolation. Fear feeds on the lie that you are alone. But once you realize that the Creator of heaven and earth is at your side, fear dissolves. Evil may surround you, but it cannot consume you. Not because it is weak, but because he is stronger. The valley of the shadow of death is not only about physical mortality. It is every moment that feels like the death of hope, the collapse of dreams, the burial of joy. It is depression, grief, rejection, loss. But here's the revelation. You are not abandoned in any of it. The shepherd's rod and staff guide you, protect you, comfort you. Even in the silence, his presence is loud enough to sustain you. You don't die in the valley, you pass through it. And the proof that you will pass through is not your determination, not your wisdom, not your strength, but the unshakable presence of the shepherd who walks beside you. And that is the power of Psalm 23:4. Strength is not self-generated. Courage is not manufactured. Victory is not earned. They all flow from one unbreakable reality, for thou art with me. So if you are in a valley today, hear this. Do not pitch your tent. Do not let the shadow deceive you into despair. Keep walking, because the same shepherd who led you into the pasture, who restored your soul, now walks with you through the shadow. And when you emerge on the other side, you will discover something astonishing. Not only did his presence sustain you, it prepared you for the feast, waiting in the presence of your enemies. And that, beloved, is where the psalm now leads us to the secret of victory hidden at the table of God. Chapter 5. The Table in Front of Enemies. Psalm 23:5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. We have walked from green pastures to still waters through valleys of shadows, and now we arrive at something shocking. David shifts from survival to celebration, from fear to feasting. But notice carefully, God does not wait until the enemies disappear. He does not wait until the threats are neutralized. He does not wait until life feels safe. No, here comes the wave. God prepares the feast before the enemies vanish. This is not how we would plan it. We want victory first, then blessing. We want problems removed, then provision revealed. But God sets the table in the middle of the battlefield as arrows fly and voices whisper. He blesses you while the opposition watches. Because his victory is not merely about removing trouble, it is about demonstrating his faithfulness in the very face of trouble. The table is not just about food. It is about abundance, about strategy, about fellowship. In ancient culture, to sit at a table was to share covenant. To be invited was to be honored. To be fed was to be secured. God is not only feeding you, he is reminding you that you belong. He is saying, this seat is yours no matter who stands against you. But the table is also strategy. Enemies expect you to collapse under pressure, to crumble under stress, to give up under fear. Instead, God calls you to feast in their presence. What better way to silence the enemy than to show that his weapons failed to steal your peace? You are not pacing. You are not panicking. You are eating. That is divine strategy. And then comes the oil. Thou anointest my head with oil. To modern ears it sounds ceremonial, but in the days of shepherding it was practical and powerful. Oil was applied to a sheep's head to protect it from insects that tried to burrow into the ears and cause death. It shielded from unseen invasions tiny irritants that could destroy from within. So when David says, "Thou anointest my head with oil," he is declaring more than symbolic blessing. He is declaring supernatural protection. The oil covers your mind. It guards your thoughts. It protects your spirit from invisible attacks. Many battles are not fought in the open, they are fought in the arena of the mind. Fear, doubt, lies, shame all attempt to invade. But the shepherd anoints you, covering your thoughts with his spirit. The oil is not earned, it is poured. Poured on the weary, poured on the rejected, poured on the chosen. After the oil, David declares, "My cup runneth over." Not half full, not barely enough, not rationed by survival. Overflow. This is the language of excess, not wasteful, but abundant. God's blessing does not stop at sufficiency. It spills beyond into overflow. And here lies the second wave. Your enemies are not obstacles, they're witnesses to your overflow. The very people who doubted you will have to watch God sustain you. The very circumstances that tried to bury you will become the backdrop for your blessing. This is why God doesn't remove all enemies, because sometimes he wants them present, seated in the shadows, forced to witness his provision for you. This table, this oil, this cup, it is not about flaunting blessing. It is about reflecting faithfulness. Overflow is not for show. It is for testimony. God blesses you beyond measure so that no one, not even your enemies, can deny that his hand is upon you. The table is prepared. That means it was planned in advance. Before you ever faced the enemy, God had already arranged the feast. Before you were attacked, he had already designed your anointing. Before you entered the valley, he had already decided the overflow. Nothing catches the shepherd by surprise. Stop waiting for the absence of enemies to embrace the presence of God. Stop postponing joy until every battle is over. Your victory is not at the end of the war, it is in the middle of it. The shepherd's strategy is not to remove the opposition, but to outshine it. This is the scandal of Psalm 23:5. Victory is not when the battlefield is empty. Victory is when the table is full. Victory is not when every enemy is gone. Victory is when every enemy must watch you eat. Victory is not when you escape the fight. Victory is when you are blessed in the middle of it. You may be surrounded, but you are seated. You may be attacked, but you are anointed. You may be pressured, but you are overflowing. And when your enemies glare at you across the battlefield, Let them see it, not your strength, not your pride, but the shepherd's provision spilling over your life. For this is the strategy of God. He turns the battlefield into a banquet. And from that table, he now leads us to the final revelation, the secret of eternal security, where goodness and mercy follow every step into forever. Chapter 6, the Eternal Security. Psalm 23:6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now we reach the final verse of Psalm 23, and it is not a whisper, it is a trumpet. David doesn't say, maybe goodness and mercy will follow me. He doesn't say hopefully. He doesn't hedge with uncertainty. Here comes the wave. David didn't say maybe. He said surely. That word carries the weight of prophetic certainty. Surely means irrevocable, undeniable, unshakable. Surely is not wishful thinking, it is covenant confidence. David has walked through pastures and valleys, he has faced enemies and anointing, and now looking back, he declares with absolute assurance, goodness and mercy shall follow me. Goodness and mercy are not leading you, are not chasing them. They are following you. They are not passive shadows. They are divine bodyguards, heavenly escorts commissioned to trail your every step. Wherever you go, they go. They are not optional companions. They are permanent assignments. In ancient kingdoms, royalty was always accompanied by guards who protected them from behind. They walked unseen but ever present, shielding the king from surprise attack. David borrows this imagery, declaring that goodness and mercy are his heavenly sentinels. They guard his back, ensuring that no matter where he walks, through abundance or lack, through joy or sorrow, he is never unprotected. This promise is not for your best days alone. It is not confined to Sundays, to worship services, to moments of high faith. No, David says, all the days of my life. That means the good days and the bad ones. The days you walk in victory and the days you collapse in weakness. The days you pray with fire and the days your prayers feel like ash. Goodness and mercy follow not only when you shine, but also when you stumble. You cannot outrun them. Even when you run from God, they run after you. Even when you forget Him, they do not forget you. Mercy cleans up the messes you make. Goodness opens doors you never knocked on. They are not seasonal companions. They are lifelong guardians. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is not a casual statement. This is David's declaration of eternal security. He is not renting faith. He is not visiting God like a guest. He is moving in. Here's the wave: you don't visit God. You move in. His house becomes your forever address. In the Hebrew, the word dwell means to settle, to abide, to remain. It is not temporary, it is permanent. David is saying, I'm done wandering. I'm done living part-time in faith and part-time in fear. I'm done clocking in and out of the presence of God. I'm planting my soul here. This is home now. And here's where the psalm comes full circle. From the green pastures of provision through the valley of shadows to the table of victory, all of it has been leading to this home. Psalm 23 is not simply a journey through life. It is a roadmap to eternity. The shepherd is not just guiding you through seasons, he is guiding you home to himself. The world may strip away possessions, health, relationships. Valleys may wound you. Enemies may surround you. Shadows may scare you. But none of these can touch the eternal promise you already have a home in God. And that home is not fragile, not conditional, not temporary. It is forever. The shepherd doesn't just feed you, lead you, restore you, or protect you. He claims you. He gives you a place where you belong, eternally secure in his presence. If the enemy cannot steal your identity, he will try to steal your sense of home. He will whisper that you are a wanderer, an orphan, unwanted, unclaimed. But Psalm 23 silences him with thunder. You are already home in God. Psalm 23 is not just about surviving valleys. It is about arriving at eternity. Not just about walking through trials, but dwelling in triumph. Not just about provision for today, but security forever. This is why David ends not with fear, but with forever. Because when you know your final destination is the house of the Lord, the shadows lose their power, the enemies lose their bite, the valleys lose their sting. You walk not as a fugitive, but as a child who knows the Father has already prepared a place. David didn't say maybe, he said surely. Goodness and mercy are following you right now, and your forever address is the presence of God. This is the summit of Psalm 23, the journey from the pasture to the eternal house of the Lord. We will take this one step further, because the secret of Psalm 23 is not only for the young or the strong. It holds a special promise for the aged, for those walking in the twilight of their years. Stay with me, because the final message is waiting, a word of hope, dignity, and eternal assurance for those in their later days. As we close this journey through Psalm 23, let us linger on the truth that shines brightest for those in the later seasons of life. David did not end with fear, he ended with forever. That is the assurance offered to you that goodness and mercy are not fading companions, but faithful guardians until your very last breath and beyond. For many who are older, life has carried both triumph and loss. Health may not be what it once was. Friends may have gone ahead. The pace of the world may feel faster than your steps. Yet the shepherd's promise has not dimmed. Your value is not measured by your productivity, but by your belonging. You are not forgotten. You are followed by goodness, by mercy, by the eternal hand of God. This psalm reminds us that aging is not decline, it is preparation. Each wrinkle tells of battles endured, each scar whispers of grace received. And the final word is not weakness, but home. The shepherd has already set your dwelling in his house forever secure. So walk with peace, rest in his care, and remember your story does not end in shadow but in everlasting light.